another great conversation around innovation, digital health in the world of just a dramatically changing ecosystem. And with that, I'm super happy to introduce the Director of Research at HITLAB, Sara Chokshi, a Colombian, a doctorate from Columbia in qualitative research, and really just a Renaissance woman altogether. Sara, thank you for joining us today, and I am pleased to really happy that you're with us, and we'll hand it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stan. Yeah, so I'm very excited to be here today. We're talking with Christine Mullholand, Sheila Collins, and Sumit Kumar about not just their businesses, but how their businesses are contributing to this boom of age tech that we see out there today. So without further ado, I'd love to jump in and just hear a brief introduction. Christine, can you start us off?
Hi, it's good to meet you, by the way, Sara.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Yes, I started our company, Eperture, in 2009 as part of an engineering company that I had. And we then sold the engineering company, and I took those funds and I invested in 2016 into Eperture.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us today. And Sheila, how about you?
Hi, Sara.
Hi.
So I'm Sheila Collins. I work for AARP Innovation Labs, and AARP's Innovation Labs, our mission is to identify and collaborate with disruptive startups and industry partners that are helping to create products that are focused on aligning with AARP's mission, which is about empowering people to choose how they live as we age.
Super fantastic. Thanks. And Sumit, can I ask you to introduce yourself, and maybe you can just get us started off by telling us a little bit about the work being done at Cherish Health.
Fantastic. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Sumit Nagpal. I'm the CEO founder of Cherish Health, which is my fifth company. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing nothing but what we call digital health for almost my entire career of 30 years in this industry. Launched longer, more safely, with more joy, wherever they choose to live. And so that's our focus.
Very good. Thank you. Sounds great. Sheila, can you speak to what you see out there in terms of the trends today in the space of age tech, and how do you see digital health improving the quality of life for seniors and elderly, as Sumit's talking about?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So I'm excited by the work that Sumit is doing, and I see that as one of the trends that has an opportunity to I fit and my oxygen, what can my everyday become older. When I think about smart devices, I think about, again, fall detection. We know that falls death for people over 60. And so I think about a startup that we work with, which is Zibrio, that focuses on helping people balance and looking at how that can help people, how it can prevent people from falling and things of that nature. The other thing, as Sumit talked about, are sensors. And we know that people want to age at home and age in place, and sensors can allow folks to do that and to do that comfortably. And so it can also provide the data and information that those caregivers need to have so that they can do that, and their physicians need to have. So collecting that data. And the third thing that I'm really excited about is voice. So when I think about age, oftentimes there may be situations where the user interface might not be as accessible. But with voice, if you can speak, you can talk to a smart device, you can talk to a voice assistant to help with getting the things that you need. And so therefore, this is a way to make it accessible to more people. And so one of the companies that excites me in this space is VoiceIt. And VoiceIt is focused on helping someone who may have a speech impairment, impediment, use a smart assistant and a virtual assistant. I also think about SingFit, which is focused on using music therapy to help older adults in this space. So there's a lot to be hopeful for.
No, it's really interesting. You know, in ages, we're looking for ways for people to be able to age in place and age at home. But we know sometimes that's really difficult, at least right now. So Christine, can you talk to us a little bit about where can technology help us in long-term care facilities, for example, or in situations where we can't age in place?
Okay. Well, I want to just kind of back up and tell you why I got into this first.
Yeah.
And I think ever since I can remember, we being my family, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, we would go to, they called them county homes back then, but find the people that didn't have anybody visiting them and bring them, little sandwiches with the crust cut off. So my when she was too old to go sweep parking lots and empty the garbage, but it really affected her because she started getting depressed and she started really showing signs of dementia. And she is taking care of my dad, who had a lot of different illnesses, and my brother, who's developmentally disabled and autism. So she's trying to hold this family together. So she started getting dementia. My mother-in-law had it, and her mother, my mother's mother, had it, and we're sharing, sending families back and forth and doing the normal thing. So when I had started an engineering company in 1992, and in 2009, that's when my mother lost her job. So we started looking at what can we do to help my mother, even though it's an engineering company. And we had 54 brilliant people working there. And they had an approach to designing systems for engineering. We would test big engines, and we built big test cells, and we had offices in India, 3 facilities in the US, 1 in the UK. So they had this approach that was wonderful. And that is that you have a platform, and the platform can be flexible and configure to whatever the needs are of the user or the customer or the problem to be solved. Well, we took that idea, and the vice president of marketing, he became the president of an LLC we started within the company. And that's how Eperture got started. But we took that idea, and he had a rare cancer that kind of reared its head 1 year after we started this, and we had to have that company go dormant for a while, and then he passed away in 2014. But when I sold the company in 2016, then the company I sold it to was in the automotive business, so they could care less about what we were doing with healthcare. And so I bought the Eperture from the Cybermetrics, the name of the engineering company, and then started investing in that. So then we could take those concepts forward and, you know, apply it to healthcare for a wide variety of applications, which I'll go into later.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Yeah, very interesting, and often I've heard and experienced that great ideas in healthcare come from other industries, which can be interesting and maybe look at problems in the world of aging in new places, at least in terms of how to approach a solution. So that's really just a great story. Very interesting. Sumit, can you talk to us a little bit about, from your perspective, the importance of designing innovation into the care ecosystem, particularly with adoption in mind?
Fantastic. So there are so many places to start with answering that question, but I'll just focus on a few points. You know, when people design for adoption, in healthcare in particular, when people build digital health apps and gadgets and widgets and so on, one of the things that they tend to forget is that most of us don't wake up every morning wanting to live in an app or 2 or 3 or 5 and use these gadgets as the thing that we do every day. Most of us want to wake up and just get on with our lives and live our lives. And so designing for adoption really is about designing to get out of people's way rather than be the thing that everyone has to use to get anything useful done. Right? It's a very hard lesson to learn. And most people who are building digital health apps, especially in a regime when digital health apps were measured for patient engagement, whatever that means, and there were scores being given out for patient engagement, whatever that means, the act of logging in was considered a positive thing. Well, that's not how we're going to get adoption. Adoption is about how do you cause the right things to happen without people having to pay too much attention. Behavior change is very hard. Paying attention to digital gadgets, as I said, is not what people wake up and live and breathe every day. So that's number one. Then, with that out of the way, designing for joy is something to just be very seriously mindful of, to bake that into a user experience. Designing for all, so that people with all sorts of capabilities, with all sorts of potentially challenges, can work with whatever you're designing is essential as well. Right? So those are just some basic principles around design. Beyond the things just got to work, things should not take too much effort getting going, simplicity, all of those things matter. But designing to make yourself actually become transparent is possibly one of the hardest things to design for, and probably one of the highest values you can achieve in gaining adoption.
Wonderful, thanks. And I really love that that idea of designing for joy. That's a great image. Thinking about that idea of designing for joy, I'm thinking about the emotional and cognitive needs of older individuals. Sheila, you shared with us some of the things you're most excited about at AARP Labs. Anything out there that you see that's particularly exciting to you in this space of addressing the emotional and cognitive needs of older adults.
Yeah. I too love that term, designing for joy. And think about a startup that's called Daily Aloha, which is all focused on positive messaging. And it's a platform that really helps build community. I think about the solutions that are connecting and building social connection. There's also one called Buzz Club that's focused on helping older adults connect with one another by teaching one another different things. And so if you're a cook and you love to make the
nice
quiche, you can share it on this platform. And if you're someone who have read a book recently and you want to start a book club, this platform allows for those kinds of connections to happen. And so we are focused on helping people live more fulfilling lives. And so the solutions are there. And so I think some of the challenges are just awareness about what these solutions are and how to connect with them. There are challenges around just making sure that everyone has access. We know that there are disparities in terms of where people live and what they have connections or access to based on that. And then just sometimes affordability. There are solutions out there that may be great for digital health, but may not be as affordable. And so there's opportunities to create solutions that are free, affordable, and really, as Sumit said, take in the needs of the end user.
And sort of there for all.
For all, exactly.
It's an important facet these days. So thank you. Christine, I wanted to have you chime in here because I know Eperture's technology has played a role in addressing the emotional and cognitive needs of individuals. And so I've had the privilege of working with the Eperture team and their product, Remember Stuff, the past couple of weeks, and I'm really enjoying it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Christine.
I'm going to switch you over. Can you see this? Some pictures here?
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking about how we made a flexible system, and Sara, what you're looking at is the base platform, the base unit. But we can apply that to a lot of different user bases. And the one that I have the most passionate for are the individuals struggling with either dementia. My brother's wife, she has cerebral palsy. She has a system, and so we make sure she can use the system. But it also can be applied to families and to cultures. And the way we do this is that we have these key components. We have a smart content library, and in the smart content library, the content can come from the facility. It can come from personalized content, pictures, old pictures of the past for the individuals. It can come from third parties, and then it comes from us. We're building a lot of content. And then we use best-in-class third-party technology devices, so wearables, anything like that. We have designed this system so we can integrate those best in class. And then our human-centered design is just really focused on, my screen got away from me.
Sorry. Yeah, it might.
The person and the purpose.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christine. I think I'm being signaled that we are out of time. And so I'm going to stop us there. I wish I didn't have to, because I would love to continue this conversation, but I'm sure we will do this again. Can I thank each of the panelists for their time today? Sheila, Sumit, Christine, thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.